Hey everybody, Kelly Whitney here with 20 of 40 things that older black women should tell younger black women but don't. And the lesson here is don't sleep with all these men. I hesitated on this one for quite a bit because I would never want any woman to think that I am policing her body or telling her who she should and should not share herself with. That is such a personal decision. But when I think back to the men that I have had in my life, there was quite a few of them who didn't deserve what they got, whether it was my time, my fast ass conversation, or anything else. Every man or woman, if that's your preference, does not deserve intimacy from you. Because I've never really heard of a woman, either fiction or fact, who really benefited from laying down with a lot of men. I can't think of a woman who that worked out for. I mean, if you can think of one, put it in the comments because I would love to know who she is so we can study her because she might be a unicorn. For everybody that I've known throughout my life, and I've had friends who have kind of hopped into beds, in my opinion, like way too quickly, and they almost always regretted it. If they didn't regret it immediately, they regretted it eventually because you're not taking the time to get to know somebody. You are just giving somebody what they want. And what are you getting in return? Because half of them don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. You know, I don't want this video to get banned, so I'm speaking in generalities, but I'm sure you guys can pick up the gist of it. And because they don't know you and they don't care for you, they're not taking the time to make it good. They're mostly interested in themselves and what they're gonna get out of it. They don't even take the time to ensure that you enjoy yourself. And again, this is generalities. We're not saying all the time because there is no absolutes. But the times that I've made men wait, those were the relationships that worked out for me. And I've had relationships where I made them wait and it didn't work out for me. So I'm not saying that it's a direct cause and effect. Every person is different. Every relationship is different. But I am saying that when I have moved too fast with men, I've regretted it. You're not doing it because you want to all the time. You're doing it because you're being pressured. That is so fucking high school. Like peer pressuring somebody, I don't feel good. Die then. Who gives a I don't care. Like, what? That's your problem. Work that out between you and the Lord. What are you telling me for? I'm not responsible for your physical condition. Don't be silly. These folk will tell you anything to try and get what they want. And I just look at them. You funny. You so funny. You are hilarious. Well, I've got to go. My kombucha seems to have gotten warm. I need to go and chill it. I think that older black women don't tell younger black women to be more careful with their bodies because they haven't been careful with their bodies and they're more interested in, well, just get the man. Sometimes you gotta take a risk. Yeah, sometimes you gotta take a risk, but take it because you want to, because you've discerned that it's a calculated risk and you've weighed the pros and cons, and however it fall in the end, you're not gonna be a loser. You see what I'm saying? You don't just want to wet and then you end up like, damn, he got me. You know what I mean? That is the most trash feeling to have. And then you just have allowed some person to take away a little piece of you. And some people don't believe in that, you know, but I do. I really believe that when you are intimate with somebody, they get a little piece of you and you get a little piece of them. And you shouldn't be giving pieces of yourself away to people who don't deserve them. Point blank, period. Everybody does not deserve you. Everybody does not deserve to know what you look like without your clothes. And I'm not saying, please understand, I'm not saying, oh, you gotta go to marriage pure and this and that. Because when I read stuff like that, where they didn't know what the other person was working with on the wedding night and it was a complete surprise, absolutely not. I always think of that episode of Sex and the City where Charlotte did that and then slept with Trey, I think right before the wedding, and found out he was impotent. Hey, I'm just saying, it is what it is. Take that and do with it what you will. But I've never seen a scenario in my life, and I'm in my late 40s, where a woman slept with a man because that's what he wanted to do and it worked out for her. Because when men want that too quickly, I feel like that's a huge red flag because maybe I'm old-fashioned. In fact, I know I'm old-fashioned, but a little bit of old-fashioned is not gonna hurt you, okay? I think when men want that too quickly, they've already decided what they're gonna do with you. And again, this is not absolutes. I'm not saying that you can't have a relationship if you sleep with somebody on the first night. I'm not saying that. But if you've done that before, think about it. Did it work out? Say it in the comments. did it not work out? Say that in the comments. Do you regret laying down with that person too quickly? Say that in the comments. Or if you don't regret it, say that in the comments. From my perspective, a woman should be more circumspect about her body and who she shares it with, period. That's just my perspective. You don't have to follow it. It's my belief based on the things that I have seen and the things that I have experienced, the things that I have read, the things that I have observed, the things that I have heard. So the consensus for me is hopping into bed with men too quickly. There's a lot of downside and not necessarily a lot of upside. And then another reason I think older Black women don't tell younger Black women to be more circumspect about who they choose to lay down with is because they don't have those conversations, those kind of frank talks about sex. They don't talk about the intimacy between a man and a woman. They consider that outside of what's appropriate conversation. But I'm here to tell you don't want your ass in a sling, so you need to talk about these things. You can't just only talk about things that are politically correct or that are not uncomfortable. The uncomfortable conversations are the ones where you really get the lessons and the gems and the nuggets of knowledge that help you to operate differently. But a lot of times older Black women don't want to have these conversations with younger women because they feel embarrassed or they feel uncomfortable or they don't want you to get the wrong idea or they don't know how to broach the topic. So I would encourage you to just think for yourself when it comes to situations where, you find that intimacy is on the table. Assess how you feel about that person. Are you ready for that step? If you're not, pause. Don't ever go into a personal situation like that when you're unsure, because once you do that, it's done and you can't undo it. That's number 20 of 40 things that older Black women should tell younger women, but often don't. And I hope you guys come back for 21. Thank you.